Happy Sunday, it's Sunday and we're living it up. Ooh, we got 3 people so far. Ooh, 48 people just joined. Hi. Oh, Kyle! Hi, JR. Hi, Kyle. It's like the whole fitness crew's all here. We're all here, guys. San1227, some of the best Billy Batson Shazam artwork I've ever seen. You're dope. Hi, Tommy Stork. You can suck it too. How's everybody doing? How we doing on this? I mean, it's pretty beautiful Sunday here in Atlanta, Georgia. Right now, I'm currently just trying to get some water to a boil so I can put it in some oats for some oatmeal. Dragon Con, an answer to your question, KT girl. Dragon. And with the pandemic and everything, it was kind of like, well, what is this going to feel like? But the people in Atlanta and that came out from all over, they were so lovely, and the people running it were lovely, and PPE and masks and things, and we're doing our best. We're trying to just get back to life, right? So, yeah. So DragonCon was good, and actually next. Chipmunks movie. Well, that's not true. I don't know. There might be a new Abbott and the Chipmunks movie, but I'm not in that if they do that. But it was lovely to be a part of that franchise. I had a really good time working with all those crazy chipmunks. Those guys. They've been stars for 70 years, and they're still so grounded. So filming Shazam 2 was awesome. Thank you very much. We had such a ball here in Atlanta. I'm so bummed that I'm the only one left. All my cast is all gone. I miss them all a lot. They're lovely people, but they're all doing awesome things. They're all off doing awesome things. Oh, watching from the Philippines. What's up, Philippines? I've been to the Philippines, and I've even eaten balut, which was gross. But I did it. It kind of tasted like both chicken and scrambled eggs at the same time. But, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange. What else we got? Yeah, you will see me at DC Fandom. We recorded some stuff for that, and so that might be fun. That's on my birth certificate. That's on my driver's license. But I'm not really I have a lot of love for Louisiana, and I've spent a lot of time in New Orleans, and I have so many great memories there. But I don't really have any ties to Louisiana in my family, unfortunately. But sending y'all so much love and prayers, particularly after Ida and everything. I mean, you guys just can't catch a break when it comes to hurricanes. But I mean, I guess we've always kind of known that. That's why the French Quarter is built on the highest point of New Orleans, because That's that blood. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. These are two of these little munchkins. That's Wrigley, and the other one just ran away. The other one was Lily. Thank you. You loved me in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I loved me in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Well, that's not true. I picked myself apart horrendously, but that show was so good, and I was so stoked to be a part of it. How was it playing football? I'm assuming an American Underdog, you mean. Which, by the way, if you don't have any plans on Christmas, other than, of course, being with your family and opening presents, American Underdog comes out Christmas Day. And I would love for you all to go see that. We worked really hard on that. And playing the football, and it was fun, but it was hard. You know, when you're learning how to throw a perfect spiral at 40, it's tough, you know, because there's a lot of like nuance to throwing a football that is so much more different than throwing a baseball, which is what I grew up throwing most of my life. So, you know, there's a lot of training and coaching involved, and my shoulders are so shot. Like, I have so much tendonitis and stuff in my right shoulder particularly, so that was real fun. But all in all, it's good. I had a really good time. Tried not to suck. Tried not to blow it too bad. Oh, what's up, Claire? Happy to spend time with you guys. It's been a minute. It's been a little while since I've done a live. I was just sitting here looking at my Instagram being like, maybe I should jump on a live. Maybe I should do a live. Will I be at any other cons other than Dallas? Well, it all just depends on work schedule, but I think right now I'm scheduled to be at Los Angeles Comic-Con in December, but that's going to depend. Magic, you know, like Shazam is a magical character, so you can't really have gray hair. So this all gets dyed up real quick, and as soon as we wrapped, I was like, yeah, I'm cutting all that off. I'm gonna go back to my salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. Oh, what's up, Salif Crook boys? How's Paris, man? How's the dancing? You still blowing everybody? Yeah, man, I would love to get back and see some Broadway and do some Broadway. I'm really, really happy for my friends who, I mean, that is their like bread and butter, and you know, it's been locked down for quite a while. So it's nice that they're back to work, that casts and crews are back to work on stage. It's so important, I think. And boy, do I love it. All right, good to hear that everything's doing good out there for you, Salif. Yeah, I would totally come back to FanX in Utah. You know, not actual hugs. Although sometimes I get actual hugs, but not really in a pandemic anyway. Oh, do I still like pau de queijo? Yes, I like pau de queijo, even though I can't really pronounce it. Oh, cheese bread, guys. Brazilian cheese bread balls. Come on. Oh, Rachel Zeggies. Bye-bye. We miss you in Atlanta, Rachel. But, you know, you're all famous and important and got to go open movies like West Side Story and keep showing up at Disney World, blowing everybody. Who is making my oats for me? How do you know that I'm making oats right now? What weirdness is going on? I would love to come visit Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. But yes, as a matter of fact, somebody is making oats for me. I love you too, baba boo boo. Baba boo boo boo. See you soon, soon, soon. Baba boo boo boo. Yeah, how did somebody know that somebody was making me oats? I don't understand. That is very trippy. I tried to make oats myself this morning. And I was going to do the quick way and just microwave it. And I put the oats in and I put the water in and I put it in the microwave for like 3 minutes. And I came back and it all exploded all over the microwave. So take one didn't go so well. Take two is steeping right now. I think that's going to be some... We boiled the water this time. Oh, did I... Restaurants and you're getting married and you're incorporating Tangled into your wedding. That's a solid move. That is a solid move. No, that is not marijuana. Those are like some, I don't know, some like ivy mossy things, but it does look like massive nugs of marijuana in these glass jars for sure. What is my favorite food? Jeanette Davies 82. My favorite food is pizza. If I could eat pizza all day, every day, and, still be healthy, I would do that. I would do that. Oh, DBT saved your daughter's life. Oh, yeah. DBT was very helpful for me in my therapy, but it was just one part of a lot of different things, but I'm so glad that DBT helped your daughter. We really all need to do a lot of healing. I mean, by the way, this pandemic has just made it even worse. There's so much trauma we've all experienced, and we're continuing to experience, and we need to recognize that is not just going to resolve itself by itself. We have got to all do what we can to genuinely heal our hearts and heal our minds and help others to heal their hearts and their minds. And I think we can do it, guys. I really think we can do it. Who's the director? So he's still kind of a baby, and definitely still acts like one. Still chewing things he shouldn't be chewing and running into walls when he shouldn't be. But he's a baby. He's a baby, and he's learning. I was in the MCU, and now I am in the DCEU. I'm not even really sure what the difference between the DCU and the DCEU is, or if there even is a difference anymore. I remember I'd said something at some point, like, I'm in the DCU, and people are like, no, you're not, you're in the DCEU. I'm like, whoa, okay, is there a massive delineation between the two? I don't know. Anyway, I was in the Marvel Universe, now I'm in the DC Universe. Very stoked to be so. Best tip on remembering lines, scripts? Everybody has kind of different processes of how they do their memorization. I've been very fortunate that I'm able to memorize things pretty quickly. But I find that it's really just repetition, and auditory repetition. If I can hear a thing enough times, then I remember it more clearly. And so like repeating it, obviously, if you say it out loud, you're hearing it as well. So you're saying it and hearing it and saying it and hearing it. Or you can record it onto your phone and then just play it back to yourself. Both of those ways I find to be helpful. Oh, yeah. Lisa Mathis, you were background on American Underdog. Everyone did work their butts off. We did. That was nutty. Have a new project? No, not at the moment. But I do have these 2 movies, American Underdog, that will come out this Christmas Day. Please go see it. And then there's another great little movie we made called The Unbreakable Boy, with basically the same. All the time. He's now a fellow Austinian. I'm not even really sure what the term is for people who live in Austin. Austinite, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he's there now. I almost did his podcast back when I was promoting the first Shazam, but the timing just didn't work out. But yeah, I think that'd be super cool. I love it when he has like scientists and doctors and people that are way more intelligent than myself show up on the podcast, because I just like learning, like at 40 years old. It's insane, when you're 4, the last thing you want to do is go to school and learn anything. You're like, no, I just want to be outside. I want to play. I want to make my bodies and play. But then you get old. Dave Coleman, David Kentucky, Murica Coleman, and my buddy Razzle Dangerously, and it's been confirmed Austinite is the correct nomenclature. Thank you. Anyway, Razzle and Dave and I had this podcast called Picking Favorites, where literally we would just like. It was fun, but we didn't really get into anything that was all that deep. And I just kind of feel like there are so many podcasts, like everybody has a podcast, and I just don't want to add to the white noise of that. So I would, if I do a podcast, I want to make sure that it's meaningful and it brings depth and education and enlightenment and wisdom and empathy and, all of the things that I think we need more of. What else you got? I don't know. My breakfast might be ready. Let me go check out my oats. Hold on. Nope. My oats have not risen. They're still little flat oats. Can I show you my feet? Cupcake mouth. You're kind of strange. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm a deeply spiritual person, and I very much believe in God, but I don't think that precludes, as much as other people who are religious or spiritual might say, if there's aliens, then, how can God exist or what? I don't know. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think we can absolutely have a God that loves us and that is the author of all things, and also authored other creatures and other places in this. Eat something else? I know, I do need to eat something. I'm starving. I would love to work with Henry Cavill, yeah. Me and John Krasinski are not twins as much as everyone would like to think that we are. I do joke about that a lot because I just think it's hysterical. I mean, I kind of like, I've seen some photos side by side and go, oh, it's like that specific look, like when we were both on NBC, had like long kind of shaggier hair and a tie but I was like in a short sleeve shirt. He was in long sleeve shirts working at a paper company, and I was fixing people's computers, and saving the world. So, the Bible talks about the worlds. I don't know what part that is, but what else we got? What are my thoughts of like all this stuff going on in the world being biblical, sign of the times? Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'll say this because I don't want to get too into the weeds on it, but I think it's very important that we look at how we're being marketed to. What is the messaging that we are constantly being fed, and by whom, and for what reasons? Position we've ever been in with fellow human beings. It's we went from tribalism in lots of little tribes all over the earth, and we've now basically kind of just made, at least in the United States, we got two tribes. It's red and blue. It's left and right. It's it's terrifying to me. It's terrifying. And it's not even just in the United States, by the way. It's so much of the world is the same kind of polarization. And they're listening to people that are telling them these things, guys. We have got to have more grace and patience with each other and kindness. We have to. Otherwise, people who make a lot of money by all of us hating each other, and let me tell you, there is tons of money to be made when fear is the product. And look at the news. Look at online. Look at all of it. Look at social media. Look at people just at each other's throats. The things that they're saying are so unbelievably unkind and inhumane and lacking all manner of deeper understanding. We are a reactionary people, so reactionary right now that if somebody even raises their hand very politely and says, hey, I have a question about this thing that we're doing, or this new tactic, or this new bit of legislation, or whatever that, if anybody just even politely, quietly, humbly raises their hand and says, hey, I don't know that I fully understand this or believe this, it's just jump down that motherfucker's throat and assassinate their character and cancel them and whatever. And by the way, this is happening on both sides of the political aisle. So that's the long and the short answer. Sorry to your question, Tammy. I don't know. I would say this as far as like biblical end times. Guys, this is what the good book talked about, and here we go. So I don't know. I don't know that we're any more special than that. I don't know that somehow this is what the Bible or other, let's say, scriptures of, from documents of antiquity kind of speak to. I don't know that we're that special. I don't know that anybody's that special. Look, I've said this many times before. I think we're all infinitely valuable and all entirely unimportant. And I think that the more we can get over ourselves and recognize that, the more we can start getting back to loving ourselves and each other. We all think that we're some great crusaders in trying to fight for whatever our political identity is somehow bolstered up as being, this is what you got to fight for. And by the way, and that's another thing, you can't if you're a conservative that also has liberal standpoints on certain things, you're not allowed to be. And if you're a liberal that has some conservative standpoints, you're not allowed to. And if you do, then you're out of the party. You got to toe the whole fucking line, guys. It's the whole line. It's the whole line or nothing. It's the whole line or you're evil. Don't listen to those lies. We have got to all unplug from those lies. We have all got to stop listening to that bullshit because it will destroy us. That is what's destroying us. So, is it the end of times? I don't know. I don't know. For all things, left and right, all sides, we all need to be listening to science. We all need to be agreeing on what is settled science and then be able to work on that. Facts are our friends. Actual data is our friend. If we can figure that out, I think that we've got straight up Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, utopian awesomeness. The technology that's around right now, that's available to us right now, and the technology that's about to be available to us is incredible. But we're all on this, we're like literally standing on this cliff. It can either all be ours or it's all going to go away. Or it's all going to go away. So, I don't know. I think God, the universe, aliens, each other. It's not hard. But again, it doesn't make money. You can't peddle that in headlines, guys. Go look at Yahoo. Go look at CNN. Go look at any place that has news. It's not news anymore. It's just clickbait. It's just clickbait. Every single headline is clickbait. They're just trying to get you in there with the most asinine, incorrect, misquotes and things. And then once you get into the article, it's a lot of kind of weird, jumbled misinformation, and then they actually get to the actual information at the bottom because it doesn't matter what the information is. They just want all of us to be scared and afraid of each other particularly. It's just building this more fucked up modern tribalism. And we were all coming together. We were all actually like working our way toward each other in, I think, a really cool way. And I think we still can. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. That's that. If I ever did a podcast, kind of drug use in general, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Things like psilocybin and LSD, psychedelics. That's actually the best word for it. That guy was dabbling, and not just him, lots of people back in the 20s and 30s and stuff. They were time, which maybe that's part of the reason why I don't like to read so many books, but I don't know, I got a short attention span, and books on tape don't help me, because if I'm listening, then I'm even more distracted, because I'm looking at all kinds of other things, as opposed to focusing and looking at a thing. But anyway, the point is, I read that in high school, even when I didn't like to read. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put the book down, because I could see it. I could see what he saw. I could see us all heading to this horrible place if we don't figure out what the fuck to do to stop that. But I'm telling you, capitalism and lobbyists, special interest groups, if you don't think that's not at the root of the cancer that is destroying this world, I please tell me what is. Because we don't have politicians that care about us anymore. They only care, if they ever did, I don't know. I don't know when this all happened, but they don't care. They care about staying in office. That's it. That's all. They care about having power and staying in office and getting paid off by lobbyists. And so then we find ourselves in the problems that we have right now. They do not care about life. They don't care about human life or animal life or plant life. They don't care about any of that shit. So I advise all of us to take everything they tell us with a bit of a grain of salt and do the investigating that we need to do to figure out what is in our best interest. You know, and I would say that what is in our best interest, that everybody go to therapy. Everyone should go to therapy. Because I don't know that we have issues. We have symptoms of problems, but I don't think we have, like, for example, I don't think the problems that we think that we have are the actual problem. I think they're the roots, I just said the word, not the roots of the problem, the roots, they're the symptoms of the problem. And the problem is we all have a bunch of broken hearts and broken minds, and we don't see reality or ourselves in reality clearly enough. We don't. And we have really good science, really good psychological science right now that people like, you know, our neighbor is. I have no idea. Because we've all been slowly conditioned to just like separate from each other. You know, by the way, tribalism is different than community. You can have an incredible community and not suffer from tribalism. We don't have communities anymore. We don't have enough people who know each other intimately, look out for each other intimately, hold each other accountable intimately. We don't have that. Because we're all taught, hey, go make a whole bunch of money and go buy your big house. It's got all your fence around it, where it's your house with your garage and your pool and your yard and your kids. And you get in and out of your car and you travel to the places you need to get to. But don't worry about communicating, even like pleasantries with your neighbor anymore. Fuck those people. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's terrifying. Anyway, see, I could just keep going. Just keep going. Hello, France. Bonjour, France. Or actually, I guess it would be bonsoir, right? Or even bonne nuit, because it's 2 o'clock in Atlanta. Zachary. That's right. That would be me if my name was blended with my character name. I do listen to Panic at the Disco a little bit. I think they're pretty good. Am I Christian? Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. It depends on how you define that word. I think that's a very dynamic, loaded even, you know, I mean, if you look at the history of and the splinterings of Christianity and how many different sects there are and why we have so many sects and why everybody just can't agree or on realistic terms, even within Christianity. I don't know. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents were Christians. My dad is still a Christian. He's still alive. My mom passed away. But, they were even very different Christians. And so I learned a lot from both of them. And then I learned a lot by, basically going to church, starting like on my own when I was 18 years old. But my journey, it's been an over 20-year journey since I've been like really just pursuing God on my own. And that's taken all kinds of lefts and rights and twists and turns. And I don't know. I would say that I'm a deeply spiritual person whose personal kind of connection to God is rooted in I suppose a Judeo-Christian type of a vertical. Like I wasn't raised Muslim. I wasn't raised Jewish. I said Judeo-Christian because their Christianity is clearly built upon Judaism. But I wasn't raised anything other than, kind of spirit-filled, non-denominational Christian. But that leaves you with a lot of questions and not a lot of answers sometimes. And unfortunately, impersonation just because, Bible Belt or whatever. But, it's like, well, all your answers are right there in the good book. Jesus gave us all the answers. They're right there. Well, they're not. They're not. And by the way, one of the reasons I know that is because there was no amount of prayer. There was no amount of prayer for myself or other people praying for me that would have pulled me out of my insanely dark depression and anxiety. In the world, all of the searching through scripture was not going to ultimately get me there. I needed help outside of that. So there are answers that you can't find there. Moreover, we can go into a whole deep dive about the Bible in general, and where I think a lot of people think it's the infallible Word of God. Like you can't question anything in there, and I don't agree with that either. Honestly, you can look at a little and how you would go about doing your practicing your own Christianity. Well, how is that possible? Because there's different translations and people translated those things differently. Also, you had people like James and Paul, who are two of the, biggest names in creating and guiding the, OG Christian church, and they hated each other. They didn't agree at all. At all. Both books are in the Bible as if we're supposed to somehow, do some mental gymnastics to figure out, well, they contradict each other, but they both mean the same thing. No, they don't. They don't mean the same thing. They're just both in there. And that's kind of interesting. It gives you an idea that, not everybody there was perfect. They were all human. They were all dum-dums. Literally, they were all just people trying to make it in life. And they didn't know a lot. And they certainly he knew some stuff. By the way, I think he knew stuff that is quite literally Richard Rohr. Oh man, Richard Rohr is fantastic. But I think, when he was talking about things like there's none righteous, not one, he's talking about how we're all dum-dums, guys. None of you out there, if you think for 1 second, I don't care what religion or political affiliation you have, you're not righteous. I don't care how you could be pure as the driven snow. You could have voted for all the right people. You could have voted for all the right legislation. You could have treated your family and friends with all of the best love and dignity and all of those things. You're still not righteous. None of us are. We're all broken. All of us. Get off of your high horse. Get off of it. Look at people as human beings. Look at the 5-year-old and every single person. Look at them. Don't hate them because they don't know what you know. If you happen to know anything more than what somebody else knows. And let me tell you something, because that's not Christianity. Anybody out there who says, oh, I'm a Christian, and you are full of shame and judgment toward yourself and other people, you're not walking in Christianity, I hate to tell you. I don't care how many times you read your Bible or pray. That's not being a Christian. Not to me. Not to me. So anyway, that's why it's such a hard question to answer. Am I a Christian? I don't know that I would subscribe to most of what Christianity stands for right now. I honestly, all the prosperity gospel stuff, all the Joel Osteen, pray enough and God will give you money. And then when God does give you money, you can give it to me so I can build these massive arenas to put on the God show. And then, oh, by the way, when Katrina or other hurricanes come through, we're not just going to immediately let people come and stay in these that need literally like a relief, like assistance, like FEMA, a disaster relief. They wouldn't even open their fucking doors to let people into this house of God. Garbage. That's garbage. That's not Christianity. Whoo! Anyway. Oh, GM Lee, what's up? What other questions do you have for me? Oh, look at this. Thank you, Solani. Hey, guys. I got some oatmeal. Oh, I'm going to put some milk in some. Yes. Oh, macadamia milk? That's a new one. Macadamia milk. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Thicker.
Although I suppose if you can milk an almond, you can milk a macadamia nut. Their teats are just harder to find because they're smaller. Any other questions? I have not watched Doom Patrol, but I want to. I really don't watch much TV at all, to be honest. Like, I'll find something and then I'll just binge the hell out of that. If you have not seen Ted Lasso, by the way, I've only seen the first season. The first season and the first episode of the second season. I haven't been able to watch the rest of the second season. But y'all, Ted Lasso is so good. Also, I just started watching White Lotus last night. That's real good, too. That's real good, too. Amber maple syrup. We're going to put some maple syrup on this. I put milk and cooked oatmeal. Am I not supposed to? Am I not supposed to put milk in cooked oatmeal? What am I doing? What lies have I been living my whole life? Oh, 9 Strangers. Is that good? I should check that out too. It's, the problem was the cooked oatmeal came out, it's like dry. It was all kind of clumped. I needed some more moisture. So that's why I put the milk in there. But maybe I'm making a really horrible decision. Am I going to die? Am I about to die? What else we got? Hello from Dallas. I am excited for Brendan Fraser's comeback. Or the Renaissance, as people are calling it. And aptly so. I love Brendan Fraser. I was always a fan of his back in the day. Was always like, like I'm sure a lot of us, like, what happened to that guy? What happened to Brendan Fraser? Why is he not working more? And look, the reality is, guys, their popularity index, whatever. I mean, maybe physically too, I don't know. But I mean, they had this heat on them. They're like, oh, they're popular. The kids want to see them in a movie. And then all of a sudden, somebody like Brendan Fraser, who is so talented and worked so hard and carried so many movies, all of a sudden, he's not the hot name anymore. And so, what is it? There's some, I'm going to butcher this, but like there's this saying, like what exactly. Basically, if you're an actor coming up in the world and somebody mentions your name to an executive who doesn't know who you are, they start with, and I'll use me as an example, who's Zachary Levi? Then the next thing is, get me Zachary Levi. Then the next thing is, get me someone like Zachary Levi. And then the next step is, who's Zachary Levi again? Guys thing. You can be something that everybody thinks, oh my gosh, you're the second coming, whatever. And then you're not. And sometimes that's because you made some decisions in your personal life that have repercussions. And sometimes that's because creatively people have moved off of you and they just don't see you as being as valuable anymore, And that's tough. I'm not selling vacuum cleaners. I am the product. So if all of a sudden producers and studios and bosses aren't into me anymore, it's hard not to take that personally. It is. But you got to understand that all of this is temporal. All of it. I could die tomorrow. Having put milk into my oatmeal might kill me. That's false news and misinformation. That's not going to happen. But, you know, I could walk outside and get hit by a bus. I could get sick from COVID. But God don't need us. You don't. So if you think your shit doesn't stink, you're wrong. You could be so good. You could be so good at anything. And you could still be a shithead and not succeed at any of it, you know? And you're going to die. We're all going to die. Yourself a Christian. How much do you love? Do you love your enemy? Do you actually love them? Do you pray for your persecutors? Do you actually pray for them? Because that's what it means. That's the kind of love that Jesus was talking about. He wasn't talking about the shit that's convenient. He even says that's not really love. It's easy to do that. Everyone does that. Everyone loves people who love them. Everyone loves those who are easily loved. But do you love, truly love, the unlovable? Do you see the human being in them and love them, even if they are lashing out and doing horrible shit in the world, which, by the way, ultimately is what we're seeing. Every time you see a terrorist, I mean, talk about 9/11, all the horrible shit that went down. It's really easy for all of us, particularly in the United States, to mobilize and start painting pictures of people in the Middle East and being like, those horrible fucking people. Guess what? They're not. They are just people. They are people who grew up with entirely different ideas of what religion and society and everything are. And a 5-year-old you and 5-year-old Abdul or whomever that you met, who might be polar opposites right now, if you met when you were 5, you would have loved each other. You would have seen the human being in the other person and you would have loved them. But this is what we've lost because we operate in shame. We operate in judgment. We get riled up by our own news and our own politicians to hate and hate and hate. And not just people in other countries. We are being led to hate each other right here, right now. I can't even eat my oatmeal without people throwing hate. Anyway, as you can see, I get really riled up, but I get really riled up because I really care. We need help. We need to help each other. We need to support people who are speaking truth. We need to love. We need to love. All you need is love. Wah-ba-ba. All you need is love. Wah-ba-ba-ba-ba. All you need is love, love, love. Love is all you need. Favorite Christopher Nolan movie would be a toss-up between Inception and Memento, I think. Yeah. I mean, he's a super talented dude. I didn't love Tenet. I had a hard time with it. It just felt like it was so much exposition. Like it was such a interesting premise and concept and that required a lot of explanation, I suppose, to keep the audience in the know of what the fuck was going on at any given point. But then in doing so, it just ends up being people literally explaining the plot the entire time in the movie, and then you don't really get the connection between the characters and their relationships, and I don't know. But I thought Inception was so mind-blowing. And yes, there was, there was that same kind of having to explain things, but every movie has that. Every movie has some form of exposition, for the most part. But the visuals of like going into those dream worlds and the slow-mo stuff and Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting that dude in that hotel hallway, come on, that was insane. But Memento, I mean, you remember the first time you saw Memento? Just what a different take on a movie. What a incredible performances all the way across the board. I still have to, I bought the DVD that has it where you can watch it forward, meaning, when you watch Memento, it's, back to front essentially, and those little clips, but you can watch it where it's all assembled, where it's all like chronologically straight through. I haven't done that yet, but I think that'd be interesting. I mean, obviously it's not nearly as surprising of a movie because it's telegraphing everything as you're going, but I still think it'd probably be very, very enjoyable, Coming to the end of my oatmeal. All right, how long have I been doing this? Why don't they give you a timer anymore? Didn't they used to give you a timer? Am I crazy? Oh, there you go. Just click on that little light bit. Oh, wow. We've been going for almost an hour, y'all. Word. I do love the Enneagram, and I'm a, yes, fellow 7. And the love languages, yeah, I'm a believer in the love languages. I don't know. I don't think... I did see The Illusionist, and I did like The Illusionist as well. I don't know. I think that my mom taught me a long time ago. She said, Zach, you can find truth in everything, but not everything is fully the truth, essentially. And so, yeah, I mean, Enneagram, 5 love languages, even the Zodiac to an extent. Like I'm a Libra. I really believe, I don't follow like a daily horoscope because I think then essentially you are not living in, walking in faith, which is what we're called to do as, I mean, look at the rest of the animal kingdom. They're all just fucking chilling. They are completely walking in faith until, you're a prey species and a predator runs up on you. Then you're like, holy shit, I gotta go. And you're certainly not walking in faith. You're just running your ass off. And then as soon as you get to a clearing and you're okay, you go, all right, back to eating and faith. That's what it is. So I think that to the extent that we try to use any of these things to map out how our day is supposed to go, or, people that do the horoscope and like, oh, stay away from the color blue and also the number 37. And you're like, what? That's just self-fulfilling prophecy now. And now you're just doing some weird shit. I don't believe in it to that extent, but I do think that there's some broad strokes truth to that shit, Like I know myself very well, I think, and I've read, like I had my birth chart and all that kind of stuff done, and it was bonkers. It was crazy. It's like, yeah, just, the lady didn't know me from Adam. She's just saying, here's the things if you do your star, birth chart or whatever. I was like, on the nose, 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 on the nose. Couldn't have been truer. So I think that it's important that we allow ourselves, at the very least, not to be afraid to entertain the idea that there might be a new way of us learning at least something new about ourselves and other people. Guess what? That's fucking empathy, people. That's great. That's great. We should always be learning more about ourselves and other people. We should always be stepping into a better understanding of what it means to be a human being. And any tool that can help you do that without dragging you down some weird road that makes you actually not like yourself or others more, I think it's good. I think it's good. So the Enneagram, I think, is super dope. If you haven't checked out the Enneagram, I highly recommend it. It's like, it's kind of like, I liken it to like the Zodiac meets the Myers-Briggs test a little bit. Because it's very
there's a lot of actual science and psychological science that's involved in the Enneagram, but it's also backed up or supported by lots of mysticism, like religious mysticism of all of the major religions. FYI, it's the only thing that I've ever heard of where Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, all the mystics of all of those religions, all essentially over the many thousands of years that they've understood it, have all said, yeah, we all think this is a real thing. All of us agree on that. We might all disagree on all these other things and fight crusades and blah 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 and be at odds, but one thing we all agree on is that this is a real thing. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. Go check it out. I think it really helped me. It helped me again to just better understand who I am. And you, as you're going down that road, you learn a lot about the other numbers and the other signs in the zodiac or whatever. You learn a lot about what it must be from their perspective, because we're not all created the same. We're not all supposed to be the same. We're not supposed to be homogenous. We're supposed to complement each other, guys. In the Enneagram, you got numbers 1 through 9. It's all like 10 different personality types. And, this person was saying, help me, Ian Buccanardi, it isn't Zach. I'm sorry. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what that, anyway, we're all created differently so that we can all complement each other and make this world fucking cool and dynamic and diverse. And, so yeah, I don't know. So when you learn if this is something you care to look into and even believe in, as you're learning about your number, as I learned about being a 7, I learned what that meant, but I also learned what it meant to what other numbers and other personality types kind of fall into. So, yes. And Claire, yes, it is hard not to compare yourself to others. That is very true. But I think that's, again, going back to mental and emotional well-being. I think that if we were all healed more, if we all were given perfect childhoods where there was no trauma and nothing but wisdom and enlightenment and understanding and love, and you had perfect parents, which none of us had. Even the best ones aren't perfect. Then nobody would have to do any therapy whatsoever. You would have been learning all these psychological things along the way. But guess what? We're only figuring this shit out right now. Your parents, I guarantee you, probably don't know fuck all about psychology, for the most part. And guess what? Their parents knew even less than that. And their parents knew even less than that. And really before that, nobody knew anything. They didn't. We were just all running around feeling shit and thinking we needed to act on our feelings, which guess what? We don't. We don't always have to act on our feelings, guys. You are allowed and should feel your feelings. But then you're responsible for those feelings. You are responsible for how those interface in the rest of the world with whomever else you're interfacing with. Just because you're feeling a certain way doesn't mean you get to then just bulldoze somebody else with those feelings. You can reach out. You can ask somebody, say, hey, I'm feeling these things. Can you help me unpack this? Fuck yeah, let's go. That's therapy. Talking to good friends that you trust and just being real and vulnerable and talking about things that you're struggling with, that's talk therapy. You can do that with your friends and your family. Guess what? To an extent, you really want to go to a professional at some point because they understand all of these things. They understand the levels of the psychology and how we become who we become along the way through our programming from our parents to the rest of our family, to our communities, to our society, to our world at large. And if you think somehow all the thoughts in your mind and all the feelings in your heart are original, like nobody's ever felt them before or thought them before, even currently, let me tell you, that's not true. That is not true. We're not that special. We all feel and think a lot of the same shit. Because we're all coming up in the same broken world, guys. The same broken world with the same broken messages all over the news and all over the internet and all over social media. So, right? It feels kind of hopeless. Honestly, obviously, sometimes. But, I don't know. I got a minute and 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds. What else we got? I have not read The Body Keeps the Score, but I've heard great things about that. I got to read that book. What should I do with my wife for our 10-year anniversary? Something dope. Little trip, little weekend Airbnb kind of situation. I don't know. What is she like? I'm not really the person that should be answering for that because I don't know what your wife is into. You might do a weekend Airbnb and she's like, I wanted to stay at home. How's my mental health? My mental health is much, much better than it was even last November. As a lot of you guys know, I went through a really gnarly journey in my mental health, and right before I got Shazam, and then was able to talk about a lot of that when I was promoting Shazam, and since then. But the pandemic really nailed me again, as I'm sure it nailed a lot of you guys out there. It wrecked my mental and emotional well-being, and but also, you know, when you are feeling those things, it's also a great gift because it's telling you something. Like, you have unresolved issues that you have got to get healed from. So I'm grateful that the pandemic kind of fucked me up and brought me to my knees again, because it forced me back down into trying to figure stuff out, which came with more therapy, but also finally antidepressants for the first time in my life, really. A thing that I was always very hesitant to want to get into because, you know, honestly, I think one of the biggest things is pride. And I don't know if it's more so for guys than girls, although it wouldn't shock me if it was, because that's part of what it means to have grown up as a guy a lot in this world. You know, there's a lot of pride and, you know, machismo. And I don't want to use the term like toxic masculinity, because I think that's a very amorphous term. Not that something like that doesn't exist. Certainly there are things that guys do that are toxic. There's also things that girls do that are toxic. But I just think from a perspective of, you know, you still feel very much like, as a guy, you're not really allowed to show your feelings as much. I think we can all agree on that. It's changing, thank God. That's starting to change. But I never had a problem sharing my feelings. I was always pretty good about that for the most part. But I don't know. I always kind of... But also, you know, being a Christian. You grow up Christian or religious. I wouldn't even say... I mean, maybe Muslims and Jews and Buddhists also deal with this. But or whatever your religion may be. But in Christianity, like I was talking about before, you know, you grow up in Christianity and all your answers are in the Bible. And if you have to seek anywhere else outside of that, then, you know, you're just not praying enough. You're not having enough people pray for you, or you're not, you know, whatever it is. It's like, guys, there's actual science out here that can help people. And I think that there's this, you want to believe that your faith is so strong that you don't need any help outside of all of that. And guess what? It's not. At least mine wasn't. I tried, guys. I tried real hard. And then finally, I had some excellent friends of mine who, by the way, I've had excellent friends trying to, you know, encourage me to at least try antidepressants for a long time. But I was always very kind of hesitant and whatnot. And then I was in this really, really gnarly place in September, October. I was celebrating my 40th birthday. I mean, it was all so nuts, you know, in the pandemic. And I had some friends, including one of my therapists, who says, look, you got to just look at it like this. You got to look at it like this. If you're in a room and it's pitch black and the light is above you, but you can't reach it just standing on your own 2 feet, you got to bring over this chair or this bench or this step stool. And if you get up on that, then you have enough elevation to turn the light on. And guess what? Now the lights are on. Now you can see everything. Now you're not stuck in this darkness. Now, are you still standing on the stool? Sure. But it helped you to turn the light on. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't be able to see anything right now. And then it's just a journey of, okay, taking in all of that illumination, all of that enlightenment, all of that new wisdom, all of that new perspective, now that you're literally, that your brain and body aren't being hijacked by your own hormones, which is exactly what goes on with depression and anxiety and stress and, you know, fight or flight. I mean, guys, there's all kinds of incredible science that backs up all this stuff. And really, we all need to know this stuff. And so he's like, man, just go pull that step stool over and turn the light on. And then, as you're feeling better and as you're working it out, then you can wean off the antidepressants if that's what feels right and if that's what's right for you. And, you know, that might be the case. That might not be the case. I might be somebody who's on it for my whole life. I don't know. But I'll tell you what. This me, even if it's a me that has to take a pharmaceutical assist, and by the way, I hate the pharmaceutical industry. Like, I really, really, really have a lot of problems with the pharmaceutical complex, industrial complex. But that's not to say that I don't think that there are things that aren't miracles that have come out of pharmacology, and antidepressants is one of those things. And they're not all created the same. They all work in different ways for different people with different issues. So I highly advise you go and talk to your therapist or meet with a psychiatrist. You know, psychologists aren't necessarily They don't have the medical background to then prescribe you stuff. You have to go to a psychiatrist normally in order to do that. But this version of me that's on antidepressants is a far greater use to this world than the me who was white-knuckling it and not wanting to take antidepressants and wanting to die. I'm of no use to anyone in that position. So if you're out there right now and you're depressed or you're stressed or you're angst out or whatever it is, if you don't feel like you're able to get to being your best self because of the traumas that have been inflicted upon you throughout your life, which, by the way, are not your fault. They're not your fault. We are not responsible for what has happened to us, but we are responsible for what we do with that. We are responsible for healing ourselves. No one else can do it. Only we can do it. And I can't encourage you enough, if you have contemplated talking to someone about getting on antidepressants, and if you're hesitant about it, A, I so understand. B, do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Know that it will be a blessing to everyone around you, because you will be a more functional version of yourself that is not being just dragged down in the darkness and the mire that our brains are so incredibly powerful and capable of doing. Guys, another one of my favorite quotes I've heard recently is in the last few years anyway, and it's from this book called The Untethered Soul, which I actually have not read, but I've read passages from, and it's, we are not our mind. We are the voice who hears it. And just to break that down in case it doesn't make sense, we have these thoughts that fly through our head all the time, things that we ruminate on, things that we spin on, that depress us, that stress us out, that do all of these things. And we just let them spin and spin and spin and spin because we think they're us. That's part of us. That's part of our identity. Why would we have this thought? Why wouldn't it would be, if it wasn't important, why would I be thinking this thing? And guess what? We think all kinds of stupid shit all day long because our mind is not necessarily a representation of what we want or how we even think. I mean, for example, how many times have you been driving along a mountain pass, or there's a big cliff to your right or to your left or whatever, or the ocean, or how many times have you had the thought, and I can almost guarantee everyone here, because we all have these weird thoughts. How many times have you done that and had the thought, just the thought, you're in a fine mood, you're not even depressed, you're in a car with your family, whatever, and you just think to yourself, if I just did that, we would all die. This car would fly off the cliff right now. Why would we think that? Why would we think that? It's because that's not necessarily our thoughts. That's just our minds are incredible, computers, guys. They're the most insane data processing organic computers that have ever existed, ever. Which means they're just shit running on in the background. That's not our consciousness. That's not us, our soul being oh, I'm really contemplating driving off this cliff. No, you're not. That was just a fucking random thing that flew through your head. Another great quote is from Martin Luther, not Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., although he is endlessly quotable, but Martin Luther, who started the Protestant church, who Dr. Martin Luther King was named after, Martin Luther has this great quote saying, you can't stop a bird from flying over your head. You can't. But you can stop it from making a nest on top of it. Things are going to be flying around all the time. Ideas, thoughts, things are going to fly through our mind all the time. You can't stop that. You can't. But you can stop allowing it to take root, to take hold in your mind and in your heart, and allowing it to fester and become worse. You can do that. And if you can't do that just by yourself, enlist the help of friends and family. And if that is not helping you to get out of that stuff, or actually, if you can't do that by yourself, I would just say go straight to a professional. A professional is going to be able to help you and direct you in far better ways than your friends and family. They can support you, and they should support you. I would hope that everybody's friends and family would understand when somebody's going through some dark stuff and recognize that that's real. That's not just somebody who's, needs attention or whatever. Although there are people out there that, use Munchausen syndrome and all that stuff to get attention. So, whatever. But go talk to a professional. And if through just the talk therapy or the DBT or the CBT, there's all kinds of incredible therapies that you can try out. But if that's not working, then do not be afraid to try a little pill, obviously you got to find the right one for you. And sometimes that takes a little while. I have friends that have tried one antidepressant and it didn't make them feel good. And they tried another and that didn't make them feel good either. And, it's a journey. But I'm telling you, if you can find the thing that is right for you, it can be absolutely life-changing, game-changing, perspective-shifting in ways that you never thought possible. And it's freaky. It's freaky to recognize that all you needed to do was tune the hormones and chemicals in your brain just a little bit. And all of a sudden, it's not the end of the world. All of a sudden, you don't hate yourself. All of a sudden, you see some light at the end of the tunnel. So, anyway, that's all I have to say about that. We are now at 70 minutes. We have gone over the hour. I got to get some more food in me and take some vitamins and my antidepressant and all kinds of, supplements and things to keep me nice and healthy. Wishing all of you so much love, so much light, sending it to you via Instagram Live, wherever you are in the world. And I leave you with the same encouragement and challenge, which is to start looking at yourself and everyone else that you come in contact with. Start seeing them as their unadulterated, unaffected 5-year-old self, and humanize them and devilify them if they happen to be someone who is vilified in your mind, even slightly. And by the way, it's not easy. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of people out there that honestly, I wish I could smack them across the face. I'm a deeply empathetic person who loves people. And yet some people will do or say something and I get so angry, particularly when I think people are lying to other people. I get so angry. The people I get angry with the most are the people that are driving at a fixed rate of speed in the leftmost lane on any road. If you have any other lane to your right, you want to drive the speed limit? Go over there. If you are sitting, camping in the fast lane, and you're not letting cars that are wanting to go faster than you, if you're not yielding so that they can go by you and you're forcing them to go around you, you're a part of the problem. And I'm trying to see the 5-year-old in you, but it's hard because you're driving and I can't see 5-year-olds driving cars. Anyway. All right. I love you guys. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. I don't even know how to end this thing. Oh, they changed all the buttons on me.